Naren, if I would have had any hair at that point, now that ship already sailed, but if I would have had hair, I would have pulled it out. What? Mike, there's no way. He goes, no, let me show you. And he shows me. I was flabbergasted.
Let me read the first question. I recently discovered that many of my calls are going to voicemail during business hours. How can I correct this?
God, I love that question. And it's a little painful for me to answer, but I want to answer it with a quick story about my own practice. Naren, about 2 years ago, we use Weave. Weave is our phone system / patient communication system. And we had recently converted to Weave and love it, by the way. If you're not using Weave, I'd strongly recommend it. Really love it. And one of the VPs at Weave is actually a very good friend of mine. And Mike reached out to me and said, hey, Gary, we have the ability to do this research about what percentage of your calls during business hours are going to voicemail. Would you like us to do that for you? And I said, yeah, Mike, do that. That'd be good, but we don't have a problem with that. We're spot on. Because we have, here's what we do, Mike. We have, cross training. So my assistants are trained, that if the phone rings more than twice, then they run for the phone to answer it. And my team's doing an amazing job. But yeah, I'd be interested in knowing that. But yeah, I won't be surprised if you discover we're doing really well at that. Can you see where this is going, Naren?
Yes.
Yeah. So Mike does the research and he calls me back and he says, hey, Gary, are you sitting down? Should I be, Mike? He said, yep. Sit down. He says, here, we did the data on your practice for the last 6 months. And he said, would you be surprised if I told you, ready for this, Naren? 42% of your calls during your business hours are going to voicemail. Naren, if I would have had any hair at that point, now that ship already sailed, but if I would have had hair, I would have pulled it out. What? Mike, there's no way. He goes, no, let me show you. And he shows me. I was flabbergasted. Flabbergasted. And if someone calls at midnight and it goes to voicemail, you know what? I'm cool with that. Yeah. But we're open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. If the phone's ringing from 7 to 4, I want it answered. And this was not my team members' fault. They were not. That was not. We don't have team members sitting around, putting it on voicemail. The only reason it would go to voicemail is after it rings a certain number of numbers, it automatically, a certain number of times it goes there. So we corrected that, and Weave has a function for that. And that is that they have a text back function. And it can all be programmed in. So rather than going to voicemail, they immediately text back to the caller, and we can customize the message, but the message says something like, hey, this is Carly. I'm currently taking care of another patient, and I can either call you right back when I'm done with this call, or you can text, and we can take care of it right now by text. And guess what most of the callers do? They just say, hey, I want an appointment for hygiene. Right. It happens in real time. And we've now recovered those calls that were going to voicemail. If it goes to voicemail, if it's a potential new patient going to voicemail, what do you think that patient does?
They don't call back. They don't leave a message, no call back.
Well, they just hang up and they go to the next office in their search. So, doctor, I feel your pain. By the way, how can you find out? If you don't have Weave, how can you find out? The phone company, your phone company will do that. Very often they do that at no cost, and they can tell you what percentage of your calls during these hours are going to voicemail. So it might be as simple a fix as adding another line. It could be that simple. But oftentimes you're just not, you're not able to handle the call, so you need another way to handle those. And like we do it through a text back function.
Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to us saying I subscribed. Most importantly, be sure to click the bell button, which means you'll be subscribed so you won't miss out on any future videos.